Hello and welcome back to the Garian Tabletop and the Solland Uprising Mighty Empires campaign. This is Battle 3 of Round 4, and it is Clan Deathtoll versus Wissenland. I'm always looking for little ways to improve these videos, so I found some map textures, managed to sort of fit them underneath the lines and stuff, so I will be using this sort of thing more in the future. Hope you like it. Today I'm playing a bit of a different scenario, one's mostly of my own invention, but I'll come back to that in a moment. First, let's have a look at the armies. Clan Deathtoll. This is quite a large and unusual force for me. It's just over 2,000 points. This has been sent via the Under Empire, a series of tunnels and underground cities snaking their way beneath the empire itself, and have emerged in and around Pfieldorf within Wissenland. This force is being led by Screech, one of the three main leaders of Clan Deathtoll and its resident warlock engineer. He is the general and he's being supported by another warlock, Chitter, wielding the brass orb, and a chieftain named Vitan, who is the standard bearer. I say this is an unusual force. I will talk more about the scenario in a bit, but basically both armies are built for this scenario. And on that note, I probably should talk more about the scenario now so you have a bit of context for the actual armies. This scenario is taking place within Pfieldorf, as I mentioned, and rather than just a straight kill everybody on the opposing side, this is sort of a capture the flag thing where the flag is 7 buildings. Here you can see that I've drawn boxes around the buildings, like when there are two next to each other that are virtually the same, they are one sort of long building. The scenario is whoever controls the most buildings, whoever has them garrisoned, is considered the winner in the same way as Blood and Glory, so their victory is sort of increased by one stage, from Solid to Massacre, etc. You'll notice the only one of these where there are two next to each other that aren't considered one building is this very red one in the middle, which is a watchtower, as you can see from virtually any other angle. Each of these are garrisonable, and as you can see I've put on them their toughness, their damage rating, and how many stories they are. So the little ones are 1 story, which means only 5 units can shoot out of them, for example. The bigger ones are 2 story, this brown one is 1 story, and the watchtower is 3. So 15 models can shoot out of the watchtower, etc. The toughness and damage is because the buildings can be destroyed, because Clan Deathtoll doesn't really care about controlling them, so they can gain the victory by controlling the buildings or by destroying them. Any destroyed building counts as being controlled by the Skaven. And I know that's an additional way that they can basically lock down a point. They could destroy all the buildings and then just win. So this could be unbalanced. I don't know. We're going to find out. But Wissenland's top of the board, so we can have some fun. All of the red buildings have toughness 8 and 5 damage. It's basically wounds. I believe it's from 4th or 5th Fantasy Edition. The brown one has 7 toughness and 3 damage. It's a weaker building. And the watchtower has 10 toughness and 10 damage. Good luck destroying that. So now that you know what the stakes are, let's get back to the armies. With this in mind, Clan Deathtoll has more range stuff than I typically bring. They've got some Skaven slaves with slings so they could occupy and just start shooting out of buildings. Things designed to sneak up behind the enemy like the Knight and Gutter Runners, which I have never used before. Jezzails, which are great for long-range sniping, which I have never used before. And powerful things that can destroy buildings such as the Warp Cannon and the Hellpit Abomination, which I have also never used before. You're seeing a bit of a theme here. Like I said, it's a weird army for me, but I've really wanted to try a lot of these units for a while, and this just seems like a fun way to do it. Over on the Wissenland side, we have one returning character, Captain Otto Helshan, who is again the battle standard bearer. The army's general is Rolf Salza, who is the captain of the Pfieldorf Guard. If he messes up here, he is in a lot of trouble. They are also supported by 2 bright wizards who use the Law of Fire. There is Hartvig Thoma, who is a battle wizard lord, and his son, Horst Thoma. And the reason I went for both of these is because fire spells get more powerful the more fire spells are used. Here is the rest of the army. Again, they are designed for occupying and assaulting buildings, tight formations for fitting down lanes, and a steam tank, because they seem really powerful. They seem really weird, and they could backfire, but we're going to find out. So it's worth noting that the cannon can occupy a building. It can be moved into a building. It's supposed to deploy in there, but whatever. I'm going to allow it to move in. Whereas a mortar, because it fires upwards instead of outwards, cannot go in a building because buildings have roofs. I've already talked about the terrain. There is virtually nothing other than the buildings and this one wall here, which is a hard cover obstacle, because, yeah, I thought there was enough going on with the different buildings that would be enough to deal with. Also, unlike normal, I'm not rolling to determine board edges. Wissenland is the right, Deathtoll is the left. That because Wissenland is slightly closer to the watchtower, as befits they're the defender of this. Maybe that balances out the fact that Skaven have a way to just lock down points, but we're going to find out. If it turns out to be unbalanced, I will know for next time. I am still going to roll to see who deploys first. So Deathtoll and Wissenland, Deathtoll deploys first. And we have 2 units that are not deploying at all, or at least not really. The gutter runners have sneaky infiltrators, which means they are not deployed, and there is a chance for them to arrive from any board edge starting with turn 2. Whereas the night runners have a warp grinder, which is basically a tunneling device made of doom rock. That also can arrive from turn 2 onwards, but the difference with that is I have to place a token to show where they're coming out, and that might then sort of move as they arrive. So that will count as deployment. Also, normally if this comes up under impassable terrain, it's then sort of moved the lowest amount it can to not come under impassable terrain. I've decided that if it comes up underneath a building, then they sort of, if the building is unoccupied, they can then just immediately garrison the building. But before we do all of that good fun stuff, we have these spells. Both Screech and Chitter are using the Law of Ruin, which does actually have a spell to destroy buildings. Is part of what gave me the idea for this scenario. They're both level 2, and I will do Chitter's first. Like the Law of Plague, this is using a slightly homebrewed version to bring the Law of Ruin up into to date with the 8th edition, because it was before lore attributes and signature spells. So the lore attribute is Favour of the Horned Rat. I can't remember if this has shown up in the campaign before, it might have. If the total casting result of a Law of Ruin spell is 13, casting result that is, then the spell is automatically irresistible. And the signature is Warp Lightning. Chitter's first spell is Howling Warp Gale. That would actually be really sort of useful here, because there is going to be a lot of missile fire coming out of buildings, so reducing that would be good. Yep, I'll take Howling Warp Gale. And his second spell is Scorch. Yeah, that could be useful, because thinking about garrisons, template things do hit garrisoned units, so yeah, I'll go with Scorch and Howling Warp Gale. And Screech, and the reason I did him second was to increase the chance of him getting this spell I want him to, because they're both using the same lore, so if I get either of these again, then I get to choose the spell. So his first one, Howling Warp Gale. Perfect. So I'm definitely choosing Crack's Call. This could not have gone better. Crack's Call is the one that can destroy buildings, which is why I really, really wanted him to have it. And I'm not even going to bother rolling for the next one, because I'm going to take the signature spell, because he is carrying the Warp Energy Condenser, which powers up his Warp Lightning spell. So I knew Screech would always have Warp Lightning, and therefore I really, really wanted him to get either a duplicate or Crack's Call on the first. Perfect. Next, Hartvig. He is a Law of Fire, they both are, so again they're going to have the same thing where the spells overlap. The difference is Hartvig is a 4th level. So his first one is Flaming Sword of Ruin. I think I will take that, because he's got, 3 other spells to have. It's not a fantastic one, it's just a general buff. Second spell, Fulminating Flame Cage. Yeah, I'll take that as well, because that's going to be useful for locking things down. Third spell is Piercing Bolts of Burning. I think I will swap that one for Firebolt. Fireball, sorry, which is it's very similar. I think Piercing Bolts is more like a bolt thrower. Yeah, I don't love that. And his fourth one is Flaming Sword of Ruin, so I get to pick. I think I'm going to go with Burning Head, which on the card here doesn't say the casting value. But yeah, that's going to be useful because it can inflict panic on things, and Skaven are notoriously panicky. And now Horst, he's only a 2nd level, so Fulminating Flame Cage I get to pick, and I know exactly what I'm going for first. Cascading Fire Cloak, so it means I've got to stick him in a unit, but then he will be able to do some damage. And for his 2nd one, again, I'm not going to bother rolling, I'm just going to give him Fireball as well, because it is a good all-rounder. And because of this, I'm going to stick, who is it, Horst. I'm going to stick Horst in this unit so that he can make use of his Flame Cloak on an actual unit. Anyway, back to deployment. First things first, the Jezzails, I'm going to stick right behind this building. That seems weird, but they're going to garrison it almost immediately, and then they're just going to have a lot of shooting. And I think I'll do the same on this side, have the crossbows directly behind this building, intending to move into it as soon as they can. 1 unit of Skaven slaves right there. The downside with this board is it makes the models a lot less distinct against it, so let me know if you think I should stick to just like the green, or, you know, there are like other ones like... Oh, that didn't work. That is supposed to... Okay. I have broken something. Good job, me. Yeah, there. So... For some reason, that didn't do it properly, but yeah, there are like loads of different boards in this one, so I can stick to just green without it being this. So yeah, let me know if you think I should avoid this board in the future, because it is sort of hard to see things. Handgunners there. No one's playing their best cards yet, you know, they're keeping them close to the chest to see where people are actually deploying things. Skaven slaves here. Alright, let's get an actual unit in. So the halberds are going to go there. The storm vermin and their associated warp fire are going to go here. I think it's going to have to be the spearmen in this gap here, aiming for those 2 units to support each other. Similar thing here with the clan rats and their rattling gun. Flagellants, I'm thinking over here, they're going to run down the line. Like, there aren't a lot of good places to deploy where there is just free movement. There's basically just this one left, and I'm sort of saving that. And I think the Rogers are going to have to go on the far flank here. Like, I don't want to pit them against the Flagellants. They will just die. So I need to have them far away. And it's got to be the steam tank, Implacable. Oh yeah, the steam tank is named, because there are, like, 8. I don't like that they have named and detailed all 8, I believe, in canon, so... Bit of a screw you to Empire players, but whatever. Implacable is going to go right there to move down the middle here. I have not left myself a lot of room. The Helped Abomination is going to fit in this little gap there. The Huntsmen have scouts, which means they're deployed after everything else, so it is the thingies next. And the Great Cannon, the War Machines is the word I was trying to think of. The Great Cannon is going to go here. And like I said, normally they can deploy in a building, but you can't move them in, but I am waiving that rule because I didn't want to put buildings in the deployment zones. It would make it too hard for them to be captured. So instead, they can be moved into. The Warp Grinder is going to have to be the next one on this side. So this can come up at any time, basically. And I think I'm going to place it here. Yeah, I think that's my best chance at doing some real nasty damage with it. Oh, sorry, I was supposed to have deployed the mortar as well. Damn. I think the mortar sort of has to go somewhere like there. I think that's their only chance of actually being able to see anything to shoot at, but they're going to die horribly against the Rogers, so I don't want to deploy them there. I think I'm just going to have to put it here and hope that it can see enough. Oh, it's got such a narrow field of view, but it's maybe further over. Yeah, that's better, because then that way it can shoot down that way or down that way. Then it was the Warp Grinder, and now it's back to the Empire. I guess Hartvig is going to have to go there. It's not a particularly good position for him, but the thing about the Helped Abomination is that it's really hard to kill unless you have fire, and I swear I did not plan for like one side to have the thing that relies on not fire and the other side to have fire. That was not planned, it was just I realised it when I was setting the battle up. Like, I don't take into account what I designed the other army as when I design the armies. You know, I designed them completely isolated, and you're just going to have to take my word on that. The Warp Lightning, I'm thinking right at the back here, because I think that's got like a phenomenal range. 48. Yeah, that's plenty. Yeah, so I'm thinking the Warp Cannon there, because similar to the Mortar, it's just got quite a nice rain of fire here. And the advantage of it being not really tiny is it can easily shoot over the top of the Skaven. And that's the Empire done, so they're going to get a +1 because we still have the 2 characters. Chitter, I'm going to put there so he can see but is covered. And Screech, I think I'm going to put... Oh, he's going to have a line of sight, isn't he? Alright, I'm going to put him here so that he can move past the building but is in shelter from the majority of the army and can do some damage with Crack's Call. So neither of these deploy, that's just the tight formation of this one, so this could come in later. That, I've placed the token. Over here, that's the tight formation of the Huntsmen, who have scouts, so they can deploy anywhere on the board which is more than 12 inches away. So I am going to start them in the Watchtower, because that is more than 12 inches away. Just, but it is. So I'm going to put one of these in the Watchtower. Deployment in this one really felt like a game of poker. Like, we've got 2 areas which are just completely unguarded, because they almost mirrored each other, I've noticed. You know, because the Flagellants were there, they lean more on this side, and yeah. So we might just have a big turning wheel where the damaging units go around the edge, but we will find out. So the Empire, which is blue, gets a +1 to this roll to determine who takes the first turn. Oh, why does it always end up with a draw with this? Anyway, the Empire, Wissenland have decided, I think I was saying the Empire before, Wissenland has decided to take the first turn. So Wissenland, turn 1. Movement, no charges, obviously. The Flagellants have Frenzy, but that doesn't come in yet. So, first of all, a load of things are moving into buildings. Crossbowmen are moving into this building, so that is now occupied. Because these are 2 separate buildings, as I mentioned at the beginning, they can be occupied separately, and something can move through and fight between them, I've decided. So the handgunners are going to move in here, they're not going to be able to shoot, but being in cover is worth it. The cannon is moving into here. And that has opened the board up considerably, and the same is going to happen on this side, which is why the Empire wanted to go first. Wissenland, I keep saying Empire. I mean, they are, they're an Empire army, but they're Wissenland. Oh yes, I need to do the steam tank. Never played with one of these before, so apologies if I'm a bit slow on this. But the way the steam tank works is you generate steam points, which is a very boring way of referring to it, but whatever. Choose a number between 0 and 5. I'm going to go with 5. Because he's taken no wounds and is therefore less likely to blow up. That is a thing that can happen. So I roll an artillery dice. 6. If the result is greater than the number of wounds, which is 10, or it's a misfire, add d3 for each steam point, and then roll a mishap. It is not, we're all good. So the steam tank actually goes first. So I should have done that before I did all the moving into stuff. I think I will put 2 steam points into the engine. Steam engine, sorry. Everything's steam with the steam tank. The steam implacable steam tank is going to put 2 into the steam engine. So I pivot where it's going to go. It's just going to go directly forwards, and then it is 2d6 inches movement where it has to move that far. 9 inches, that is further than I expected. So that moves to there. Still not too bad. Right, I can't pivot it a tiny bit. What I would do is pivot it so it is directly facing the Helped Abomination. I can't quite do that, so we're just gonna have to pretend. Flagellants are moving 4 inches and then marching for a total of 8. Spearmen are going to do the same. They want to get a good position. They're the spearmen, these are the halberdiers. Yeah, the halberdiers are doing the same, 8 inches. This is something I don't like, that you have to say where it's coming up, because then the other player knows where it's coming up. I don't understand it. It it either is or was the same with the Tomb Kings. Like you decide like where the Scorpions and stuff are coming up. But like with the Scorpions, which are like War Machine Hunters compared to this, which is a whole unit, like how do they know? You know, you place a little token and be like, oh yes, it's going to come up there. How do they know that it's coming? You know, they're just bracing themselves, waiting for it, or they'll just shuffle away from the place that they know something's about to come up. It's a weird mechanic, and I might homebrew it away because I really don't like it, but we'll see. And Hartvig is in suddenly a tricky position, because if he gets shot at, he's on his own here. Is there anything that can shoot at him? Oh yeah, there's the warp lightning cannon. Unlikely, but possible. So, I think he's going to move 4 inches and then march so that he's just right up behind the steam tank. Magic! Ooh, 11. Channeling 2 for the Deathtoll. Channeling 2 for the Wissenland. No. Let us begin with a fulminating flame cage. A hex 24 inches needs an 11. And I'm going to aim it at the storm vermin. And as it's a hex, he doesn't need line of sight. Let's put 5 dice into that. Oh, not quite. Irresistible. A total of 29, including his 4 levels. Wow. I think they're going to have to throw everything into dispelling that. Yeah, they need to dispel that. Oh no. Yes. Sorry, I didn't see the second 6. Irresistible dispelling. It is gone. They needed to dispel that because it does damage and then stops you from moving without taking more damage. And yeah, we couldn't have the storm vermin get immobilized on the first turn. However, that leaves them entirely at the mercy of 6 more power dice. Oof. So let's have a cascading flame cloak on 2 dice. 4 plus his 2 levels, so I think that's cast. Yeah, only needed a 5. So that is now in effect. Ooh, a fireball against Chitter could be good. Yeah, that seems like the sort of thing a young and cocky fire wizard would do. A basic fireball needs a 5, minus his level needs a 3 on 1 dice. Cast it. D6 strength 4 flaming hits 5, and it was against a lone character, so he gets to make a look out sir roll on, 5 rolls. Any of these that fail hit him. Oh, that's really unlucky for Chitter. Yeah, 4 of the fireball hits hit him, and only 1 hits the unit. So the 1 on the clan rats is a wound. They get an armor save, which they fail. First casualty, and probably about to be followed by a second casualty. Oh, this is gonna hurt them. 4 wounds. He has no armor, so yeah, he only has 2 wounds. So Chitter is just immediately killed. That is incredibly, incredibly bad. Oh no! I don't know if they need to take panic tests here, because you take panic tests if a unit is annihilated, and technically a lone character is a single model unit, so I think they do. So that's going to be the Jezzails, the Warpfire, the Clan Rats. Yeah, just those 3. I think this might be incredibly bad because the Jezzails are testing on a 5. And which they get. Okay, cool. Oh, they would also have had a reroll. The Rattling Gun. Sorry, I thought that was the Warpfire thrower. The Rattling Gun is the attached unit for the Clan Rats, so therefore can use their strength in numbers to increase the leadership, and they get the thing from Screech, so they are testing on an 8 with a reroll, which they pass. The Clan Rats are also on an 8 with a reroll, because, yeah, they get their strength in numbers. They fail, and the reroll, they fail again. I have no words. This is really, really bad. They break, and then they flee from the nearest thing, and because of Scurry Away, they have +1 to this roll, so they flee 6 inches. Are they about to just immediately flee off the frickin' board? Where's the nearest enemy is going to be that one. Or that one? Yeah, that one. So they rotate away from the nearest enemy, and then flee 6 inches. And they immediately flee off the board. They immediately flee off the board. The biggest unit in the frickin' army just fled off the board for no reason other than they saw a guy get immolated right next to them, and that sort of scared them a bit because he was one of their leaders, sort of. And something worth noting, because this standard fled the board without breaking from combat or last stand rule, they don't get any points for that, so they don't get the 25 points. I can't believe that just happened. I'm stunned that bloody happened. And they still have 3 power dice. So they're going to cast Flaming Sword of Ruin. Needs an 8 minus his 4 levels. Yeah, easily casts it. And that's on the Huntsman in the tower. I put a little counter on here for the number of steam points the tank has left in the turn, because they are going to spend all 3 on the steam cannon. And this is why I wanted to specify that he tilted, like it pivoted a little, because the way the steam cannon is phrased is it can only fire directly forwards, which would sort of possibly completely miss everything, just going right between these two, so I specified that it's pointed at the Helped Abomination. The number of steam points spent affects the just the range, so I only really need to spend 2, but there was no point to hold on to the 3rd. So it's going to fire there. Is that within... Yeah, there is no minimum range on this. So it overshoots by 2 inches to there. It then bounces 4 inches, which is enough to hit the Hellpit Abomination. It gets hit by a cannonball. Strength 10 specifically, d6 multiple wounds. Even for something that tough, it's still a 2+, so that is a wound. And although it has no armor, and obviously it wouldn't get any against a strength 10 hit anyway, it does have regeneration, which means on a 4+, the wound is saved, which it is not. In that case, ignore that, and it just does d6 wounds. It does 2 wounds, so that could have been worse, but that is a 1/3 of its wounds gone in the first turn. The mortar, yep, that is within range. It's got a range of 48, so it is going to aim at the Storm Vermin. Right there, right in the middle of the unit. Rolling Scatter. It's a misfire. So I roll on the Black Powder misfire chart, and the result is a 5, may not shoot. 5 or 6 is the best that it could be, so it cannot shoot this turn, and that's the end of it. And then the last bit of shooting, because everything else moved into their shooting positions and therefore cannot fire, the Huntsmen, who have +1 to wound with magical flaming attacks. I kind of think they're going to go for the Helped Abomination. Is this stupid? I don't know. They're in the tower, which means it's 3 stories, up to 15 can fire, which means all 10 can. And the reason they're going to go for him is because they've got the flaming arrows, the magical flaming arrows. So flaming just negates regeneration, just won't work. And they have +1 to wound. So basically, if they hit, they're just going to wound on a 5+. I think it's worth it. I think if they can take out the Helped Abomination, this is a really good chance before it gets in there and does any damage. It is at long range, however. The champion misses. Everybody else, 3 hit. Oh, no wounds. That would have been good, though. Well, for Wissenland, terrible for the Skaven, who are having a terrible day in general. But that's enough bullying. On to Deathtoll Turn 1. The Rat Ogres are out of charge range, so let's move into some buildings. The Jezzails are going to move, if I can select the bloody base, are going to move into this building. Note that although these are sort of 2 models, like I said, they count as a single building, so the Jezzails are in the entire thing, whereas here these are specifically 2 separate ones, so you can have 2 separate units within it. Skaven slaves are moving into this building. This battle line suddenly feels a lot flimsier. They were really counting on just having 2 powerful units in the middle here to attack the tower and face these. Oh no. I'm very tempted to actually charge that with the Storm Vermin. They need a 9 because they have a movement of 5. But if they'll get shot at, and it's unlikely they'll pass, but if they did, it would be so good. And it would be a great reversal of fortune for the Skaven, and is therefore probably not going to work. You know what? Screw it. This game has gone so poorly for them, they need a reversal of fortune. Alright, so they need a 9. You hear that? 9. No, not 5. Oh, yeah, okay, they get shot at with the stand and shoot from the from the huntsman. Oh, alright, so they just move 3 inches forwards. So, stand and shoot, 10 huntsman, it will still have been at long range. Champion, miss. 9 others, 2 hit, +1 to wound, 2 wounds, but they do still have a decent armor save, 1 dead. Alright, not too bad for a, let's just say worse things have happened to the Skaven today. Oh, no, hang on, start from turn 2. We're still on turn 1. Sorry, forgot that. The Skaven slaves are going to march, so they have a movement of 5, so they can move a total of 10. And the Roguers are going to pivot and then move 4 more because they have a movement of 6. And Screech is suddenly bloody terrified of stepping out into the light because he just watched Chitter get immolated. And, he's not worried so much about death. Oh, no, he's not worried because he's virtually fearless. Screw it, he's just going to walk out. So he's... Oh, don't do this. Look at that. He should be able to stand a bit closer, whatever. He's going to move to there so that he can see. Actually, a little bit further back because he's fearless, but he's not stupid. So he's out of sight of Horst. Oh, I forgot to do the Helped Abomination compulsory movement. So that has 3d6 random movement. So it moves 9 inches. And it's just going to go directly forwards. It's going to bloody meet the tank head on. I don't know which will win. I'm sort of disappointed by the Hell Pit Abomination's the other thing, toughness. It's only got a toughness of 5, which really isn't that high. And that is everything. So it is just Screech in the magic phase now. 6, channeling 1. Failed. Channeling 2 for Wissenland. Fail. Crank's Call is a 4d6, so therefore has an average of 14 inches. That's not enough to rely on here. So I think instead I'm going to use all 6 on a souped up Warp Lightning. So it needs 12. Oh, it's irresistible. Oh, that's not good. Well, let's find out what he does before he explodes. Oh, I forgot to test whether the Warp Energy Condenser condensed any Warp Energy. Doesn't really match in this one because, it's probably the only spell he's going to be casting. Maybe ever. No, it won't be ever, but still. What the Condenser also does is soups up his Warp Lightning. And there's a bit of homebrew here because Warp Lightning can't usually be upcast. That's a change to bring it into line with 8th edition and upcasting and stuff. So because he upcast it, normally it adds 2 to the number of hits. Upcast, I'm just going to say, 2 for normal cast, extra 4 for an upcast, just straight up double it like the spell does normally. So it's 2d6 plus 4 hits. And on a double 1, he gets hit instead. 5 plus the 4, 9 hits. I didn't say who it was against, did I? I don't remember. Against them. They're the only ones you can really see anyway. And at strength 5, that's 8 wounds. No armor. And I believe 8 is a quarter. How many do they have? 30. Yeah, so that is it's more than a quarter of the unit. So they have to take a panic test, but they are testing on Salza's 9 with a reroll because their bearer is right there, which they pass. Okay, let's see what happens to Screech. 6. Calamitous Detonation. The small round template over the wizard. Every model, including the wizard, takes a strength 10 hit. So he's not going to die from this, but he may well be severely injured. By which I mean he's almost certainly going to be severely injured. It would need to roll a 1 here for him not to be severely injured. He is severely injured. Although, now that I think about it, does that hit the building? Yeah, that definitely hits the building. So the building is toughness 8, and it's a strength 10 hit. I kind of find it funny that it's just as easy for this detonation to damage a building as it is to injure a person. That's how strong it is. But yes, this building, or both of these buildings, take 1 damage. So they are now down to 4. So, yeah, this part of the building just got blown up. Shooting, I probably should have marched them so that they could have shot, because they have slings. And funnily enough, the Jezzails, which, by the way, are like giant sniper rifles mounted on shields, they are not move or fire, so they can shoot despite garrisoning a building. So all 4 Jezzails are going to shoot at Salza's halberdiers. And because of the way it works, 36-inch range, they are within half range, so they only suffer the penalty for moving and shooting. Champion, hit. Of the 3, that almost landed on a 5. 2 more hits, total of 3. And another really high strength hit here, so 3 more wounds with no saves allowed, so that's the whole back rank gone. However, that is sadly not enough to trigger a panic. Oh, if the rattling gun could shoot them, they totally would, but instead they're going to have to go for the spearmen, which are just in the 18-inch range. So I got this slightly wrong last time. I thought you had to declare how many you wanted to roll. You roll each one and then decide. So I can keep rolling the dice until I choose to stop. However, if I roll a double, it is a misfire. So the first shot, 3, second dice, 4, third dice, 2. I should probably stop there. 6 hits. That's an incredible... That is literally the lowest number of hits I could get on 3 dice. Low chance of hitting as well. 3 hits though. And 3 wounds. And strength 4 with armor piercing. They don't get a save. So 3... Oh, what's this? Oh no, it's Firecloak. 3 spearmen dead. See, this would be looking really impressive as like a turn of shooting. But, you know, then you see that and it's like, oh yeah. It is so hard to know whether to shoot at the spearman or the tank. It's probably got to be the tank because not much else can scratch it. I think it's got quite a high toughness. Yeah, toughness of 6. It's harder than the big flesh monster we have here, which is admittedly just, you know, just flesh. But yeah, I'm going to have to shoot at the steam tank. So I'm going to aim there. It fires like a cannon with artillery 2. So it overshoots by 2 to there. That is not bad so far. As long as this second one is a decent number, then it could do some massive damage. Because the way the Warp Lightning Cannon works is it doesn't have a set strength. On the second roll, it determines the number rolled here is the strength of the hit. Oh, it's a misfire. That means it has a strength of 0. Luckily, there's no, like, it doesn't blow up or anything, which could... Oh, God, it could easily have done. But it means no hits whatsoever. So it is just a piddling, absolute stream of nothing. I think the Warp Fire Thrower is going to try... Oh, this is going to be so risky. Is going to try shooting at the tower. Oh, God, the luck they're having. So the way this works is you place it with the flame template touching the base like so, and then you roll an artillery dice and move it that many inches forwards. 10. Oh, wonderful. Hope it doesn't overshoot. So now this moves... Oh, pretty perfect. Although that does look like it might actually be just that high because it's raised up. Yeah, it is. 10 puts the end of it... Oh no, still puts the end of it over this. So yeah, that means the template hits the garrison building. And when a template hits a building that is garrisoned, it inflicts d6 hits on the unit. So it does 5. And at strength 5, it's got a very good chance of wounding. Still fails 2 though, because the Skaven have had their worst day today. 3 wounds, no saves whatsoever, so that is 3 huntsmen dead. Units garrison take panic tests as normal. So, yeah, okay, so they have to take a panic test for being wounded. They are within range of, I would say, the general. The general is overlapping the building a little, and also the banner. So they are testing on a 9 with a reroll. They pass. And then finally the Skaven slaves, who have occupied this whole building and therefore can shoot at short range at the flagellants. And maybe this is a bit cheaty because technically they're shooting from somewhere like almost a foot, like almost 2 whole moves away from where they started. But so in a situation like this where one half of the building is 1 story, the other half is 2 story, and this is a single building, I'm going to say that if they're drawing their line of sight from this part, it's 2 story, and if they're drawing it from this part, it's 1 story. So yeah, they get to fire with 10 Skaven slaves. Their slings are multiple shots, 2, which means it's a total of 20 shots. However, it also means they get a further -1 to hit, so they're hitting on 7s, which is a 6 and then a 4. 0, 2, sorry, they're shooting at the flagellants, I didn't say that. 1 hit. Out of 20 shots, 1 hit. And I rolled a 1 to wound. Ah, Skaven. I love them so. And they're bloody lucky for that. With no combat, we go into Wissenland Turn 2. First, let's address the Flagellant's Frenzy. Normally, Frenzy means that they have to declare a charge if they can, I think unless they pass a leadership. However, it has to be a legal charge. And although the Hell-Pit Abomination is within it is within range, and therefore they would have to charge it, there is no way a single pivot will get them there with the steam tank in the way and with the buildings and everything, so that is not required. Whereas over here, they totally can charge them, and they only need a 4, because they have a movement of 4. Which they get. And the Skaven slaves, oh, what is their reaction going to be? If they flee, they're probably going to flee off the board, because they'll end up fleeing through the rat ogres, which won't cause a panic, but it'll mean that they're almost certainly going to flee off the board, so I'm going to have to hold... Oh no, they've got slings! We can do stand and shoot. They are within short range, but I would say that the building blocks these ones from shooting, because they still have to shoot in the front arc, and the building is in the way. So only these 6 can actually shoot. But with the standard shoot penalty, which I think I sometimes forget, 2 hits. Of those 2, both hit because they needed a 7. 1 wound, not saved, so they actually managed to get a kill, which is probably the only kill they're going to get in this game. Because now the halberdiers come and swing round, and they were in the front, so they don't actually get a flank charge here. Like, there were enough in the flank, in the front for the Skaven to have faced them, because 3 ranks could see them. So we will do it like this. Damn, forgot the tank again. 5 points. And now test the boiler. Oh, it's a misfire. If you get a misfire on the tank, you roll a d3 and add 1 for each steam point. Oh no! For steam point, I thought it was for wounds. No, right. I see. Yeah, this is bad then. So it's a d3 plus 5. Because they generated 5. Oh no, 8. Total is 8. Oh! The result is kaboom. All units within 6 inches of the steam tank, friend or foe, immediately suffer 2d6 strength 4 hits, and then the tank is removed. That's bad, but it also has Hardfig cowering behind it. So within 6 inches, all 3 of these buildings are going to take the hits as well. And that building as well? Yes, I'd say that building is just within 6 inches. The Hell-Pit Abomination is not. All 4 buildings are getting damaged and all 4 units are getting damaged still. So let's start with Hartvig. It does say you roll the number of hits for each unit. So Hartvig takes 8. He's probably dead. He's definitely dead. No armor, 6 wounds. Hartvig is eviscerated. Eviscerated by the implacable exploding. And then I will continue clockwise round. So first of all, the building. 7 hits. And I think because the building and the unit are like in the same place, I'm going to say they take the same, because it's like, yeah, it just reduce the number of rolls I have to do and also makes sense. So 7. Building takes 1 damage. The crossbowmen take 4 wounds. They have no armor, so they have to immediately test for panic. On a 7, they fail. They then abandon the building and flee 9 inches from the nearest enemy. Oh no, I think it's from the source of the damage. You don't roll for distance. When you're abandoning a building, they leave it as legally as possible. Come on. I'm just going to have to put them there. But they don't move any further. However, they are now fleeing. The Skaven slaves building. 3 hits. No wounds on the building. 1 wound. No saves. Watchtower. 8 hits. Takes 2 damage. To be honest, I kind of think both of these should be taking a panic test anyway. So they should have taken... right. Sorry, because of the order I did this, Thoma got annihilated first. And annihilated unit, just like with the one over here, triggers a panic test. So all 3 of these would have had to test panic anyway. So in that case, the crossbowmen are fleeing before they took the damage, because they would have failed the panic test, fled the building from the away from the nearest enemy, which would have been actually the Skaven slaves, so they would have exited exactly that way, and then they wouldn't have been caught. But okay, yep, they do still take the they do still take the 4 wounds. Anyway, these 2 also do need to take panic prior to being hit. Both of them do get a reroll because of Otto's banner. Handgunners on 7 fail with the reroll. Just pass. Huntsman fail with the reroll. I think that's another fail. Yeah, it is. So the huntsmen still fail. So they have to leave. That's the huntsman there. They have to leave the unit. They can't leave anywhere away from things, so they are going to have to leave here. Just because they need to be facing, they need to be touching this and as far away as possible from enemies, which is there, given that they have their back to this. However, that does mean, you see the other option was right here, that does mean they are safe from the explosion. And then the last building, 8 hits as well. Also 2 damage, so that only has 1 damage left. And the handgunners, 6 wounds. However, they have already taken a panic test this phase and therefore do not need to take another, even though they have just lost over half of their unit. So that was actually devastating. I had no idea that steam tanks could blow that big. I've never used one before. They didn't have a particularly good showing. They damaged their own buildings, killed 1 Skaven, and like 10 of their own, or 11 of their own men, including their most powerful wizard. So Horst, he's just heard an explosion. He's just seen this building get damaged. He's now worried about his father, but he doesn't know what has happened. So that was pretty bloody devastating for the compulsory moves phase. I've realised that the flagellants, in fact, are subject to frenzy because they can charge the Skaven slaves. I forgot they were in that building, as I have been now reminded after the explosion. So they are going to declare a charge. The closest point on the building is 8 inches, so they need a 4, which they easily get. However, they are now subject to stand and shoot, just like the other Skaven slaves. The Skaven slaves are having a terrible time. Skaven slaves have a terrible time in general, so they're within short range. Oh, they're testing for the nearest point, but whatever. Yeah, they're in short range, and it is a 2-story building, so 10 of them can shoot. Like with the others, they need a 7 to hit, and it's 20 shots, so 1 success so far. 3 total, and of those, only 1 actually hits. I'm not sure why I bothered bringing them, because they're a cheap garrison, that's why. No wound, so the flagellants complete their charge completely unaffected. I don't know that there is space, so they're just going to have to get us. Come on, guys. Come on, guys. Yeah, the weird footprint of the building stops them from actually getting any closer, and all of them have lifted off the bloody base now. Whatever. Yeah, so they can't fit sort of in between the gap facing it fully. I would be able to close the door normally, but because of the annoying footprint of the buildings and stuff, I can't. So the assumption is I'm gonna leave them here because I'm tired of faffing with it. Yeah, they are in this gap facing this, so how many can fit? Yeah, it doesn't really matter because it's not done on that. But yes, anyway, they are here, just to let you know, because that's where they would close the door to. So that's where they are for the combat. Over here, this unit cannot move because it has a fleeing unit directly in front of it, so they can't go anywhere. They're just going to hold their position. And bearing the order in mind, charging actually takes place before compulsory moves. So that means the flagellants would definitely have been within range of the exploding steam tank. So we're not done yet. Got a little bit more damage for that thing to do. 7. Only 2 wounds. Wow, that is surprising. I don't believe they have any armor, so that is 2 flagellants dead. Not as bad as that could have been. Magic. 7. Channeling 1 for the Skaven and 1 for Wissenland. We have 1. But Horst is in quite a difficult position. I don't think he can actually do anything because he's got men directly in front of him, completely obscuring his view. Oh god, it's very hard to see, which is what he's saying, funnily enough. Like, he would try and fireball, but I don't know that he can actually see. I'm going to say he actually cannot see anything to shoot a fireball, and he's already got the flaming cloak, so I guess all there is left is for the Skaven to try and dispel his current flaming cloak, which I guess that he could then recast afterwards. They need to beat its base cast level of 5, so they're going to spend 2 dice on that, plus his Screech's... Yeah, they get it. So 9 plus is 2, so he probably could have done that on a single dice. I forgot that I could add his level to the dispel. So I guess now he is going to try and cast it again, and maybe will explode. We will see. He's going to use 5 dice. He only needs a 5. Doesn't get irresistible, so it doesn't really matter how much the result is. They literally cannot roll high enough. 25, just for the record. But they need a double 6 to dispel, which they don't get, so he gets his cloak back. That was worth it. Shooting. The huntsmen are no longer in this building. They can't shoot because they're fleeing. The crossbowmen are no longer in this building. Can't shoot. The mortar can. I'd say the mortar has a line of sight to there. Can see alongside the buildings. So he's going to try and hit right in the middle of the storm vermin with the scatter of 2 inches forwards. So it's probably still going to hit most things in the unit. Although that says 3, it is about an inch between models, so that should be, yeah, it's because it's lifted up because of the banners and stuff. But yeah, that is about 2 inches further forward. So that still hits Vitan, the champion, and a number of storm vermin. 17 storm vermin, the champion and the character. So first of all, test to see if the character and champion are still hit after look out, sir. So Vitan is not hit. Champion is also not hit. So that is in fact 19 storm vermin. 1 hit by the highest strength. That's a wound, and due to the high strength and armor piercing, there is no armor save for the higher strength. And then 18 more against the lower strength. 3, 7 total. Armor piercing, but they do still get a decent armor save, of which only 1 succeeds, so 6 die to the mortar. And that is only like 2 less than they needed to get the 25%, but it is too few to trigger a panic test. The handgunners can actually shoot and they are considered to have a 360-degree line of sight, so they are all going to shoot at the Hell Pit Abomination. It's only one story, so only 5 can shoot. But from the closest point, it is short range. My mistake, there are only 4 left in the unit, because the other 6 died, so only 4 are shooting, including the champion. Champion, hit, 2 more hits. 2 wounds. It has no armor, but it gets a decent regeneration, so it saves 1 of those wounds, reducing it now down to 3 of 6. Over here, the cannon in this building, I think is... Ooh, maybe it should target the... yeah, it's going to go for the Warp Lightning Cannon, because it can see over things because it's on the 2nd story, so it's just going to go just pew straight at that. Overshoots by... Oh, it's a misfire. On the black powder misfire chart, 5 may not shoot. That's funny. I suppose it makes sense with the way it's done. But yeah, it's funny how on most charts, like the higher you roll, the better it is. But on the tank, rolling maximum, killed itself and everything around it. But yeah, may not shoot, cannot fire this turn, but can fire normally next turn. Combat, we have Salza against the slaves, and we have the Flagellants against the slaves. So never do the Captain General first, so we'll do the Flagellants against the slaves. Slaves have a higher initiative, which is lucky because they're almost certainly going to get wiped out or panic. Before we do the actual fight, the Flagellants have the end is nigh, which means they suffer d6 strength 3 hits as they hit themselves. That's 6 strength 3 hits, and then they gain bonuses depending on how many die, which is 4 of them. And call me pessimistic to say that that is probably the most wounds they're going to suffer this phase, but it gives them +1 toughness, and they re-roll all to hit and to wound. The Skaven slaves are so screwed. When assaulting a garrison, only 10 models can fight, so only 10 slaves for hit. However, the increased toughness means that still 2 wounds, and Flagellants have no armor, so 2 more dead. But now this is going to be bad for the Skaven because 10 Flagellants, they all have Frenzy giving them an extra attack. They are all considered to be in contact because of the way sort of building assaults work. So all 10 of them get the extra attack, in my opinion, plus the one the Flagellant has, so a total of 21 attacks. 6. Oh, wow! 16! They're also carrying flails, so they have +2 strength in the first round of combat, which means any of these is just any higher than a 2, any higher than a 1 rather, it's just dead. So that's, 14 Skaven slaves just die horribly. That is the vast majority of the unit, leaving just 5 of them left. Oh, I forgot they got to reroll to hit and to wound. Rerolling the 5 that missed, 2 more hit. 2 more wounds, and reroll the 2 wounds that failed, 4 more wounds. So after all of that, there are only 2 left. No, sorry, there's only 1 left, the one guy there. That is it. Give me a sec to count who won the combat. Oh, never mind. It's, the Flagellants. So the Skaven slaves are testing obviously on a double 1 with absolutely no chance of succeeding. They do actually get a reroll because of Vitan being nearby. No. They get surprisingly close, but no. And when they break from combat, Skaven slaves have the cornered rat rule, which means every unit within d6 inches, friend or foe, immediately takes d3 strength 3 hits. And normally this would be increased by the number of ranks they have. It is one guy. One guy is going to do, let's find out how many hits. 3. He's going to do 3 hits on each unit within d6 inches. So that's the Hell Pit Abomination and the Flagellants. They're counted as in this part, so it is not either of those. I can't believe this. No wounds on the Hell Pit, but miraculously 1 wound on the Flagellants, as he then leaves the board. The Flagellants then have a choice to enter the building, but they will not. However, this doesn't allow them to reform. It just moves them back slightly, so they are still here. And now, the second massacre of the turn. Salza has the highest initiative, and he is wielding Fencer's Blades, which are paired weapons, giving him an extra attack, and giving him weapon skill 10. Not that that matters against Skaven slaves. Still managed to miss one. 3 hits. 2 wounds, no armor. Skaven are up next, so 10 attacks against halberdiers. 5 hit. 3 wound. Only 1 save, 2 dead. And 10 halberdier attacks back because of the champion. 9 hits. They have +1 strength because of the halberds, so 8 wounds. Halberdiers get 1 for the banner and 2 for rank, and they get 1 for rank, and that is it. Halberdiers obviously win, and even with Screech there, who is the general, they are testing on a double 1, which they are obviously going to fail. Hey look, they obviously failed. So similar to the other one, they have cornered rats, so the Rogers, Screech, the Halberdiers, and question is, are they within? No, because they're in this part of the building, although it's, I don't know, I'm doing this, I'm being inconsistent with this, aren't I? No, with this, you know, the different parts of the building do matter because, you know, the different stories. So yeah, they're in this part of the building, even though the building can still all be destroyed as one. So yeah, the Skaven slaves hit Screech and the Rogers and the Halberdiers. They do add 1 to this because they have an extra rank, so they do 4 hits against the Rogers. No, 1 wound, against which they get no save. But they have 3 wounds each, so that's just 1 wound off the one of the back. Screech takes 4 hits. Oh, no wounds. That could have been really bad. And the Halberdiers take 4 as well. 2 wounds. Both of which are saved by armor. Wow, okay. So, that is the Skaven slaves gone. They can make an overrun, but I don't think they would want to. That would put Screech to their flank, so instead they're just going to slightly reform to there. Bloody hell, we're halfway through turn 2 and already this has been a massacre as we go into Deathtoll Turn 2. Frenzy, the rat ogres are going to charge the halberdiers. They are within the minimum range as they have a movement of 5, so they just charge straight in. I think the storm vermin are going to try and charge the huntsmen, who have to take a flee reaction. They are technically within their minimum range, but I'm going to have to roll it because they are going to be fleeing. So 8 is a very good roll. The huntsman, the huntsmen flee, so they go on to flee 4 directly away, which has them flee through this unit. And they are actually fleeing through impassable terrain, which counts as dangerous terrain. I'd say these two, those two are probably fine. So they flee 4 inches, which is enough to put them into there. So they continue fleeing to the far side of everything. So that's those two as well going through impassable terrain. So they actually flee to there, and 4 have to test for dangerous terrain. Oh, that's unfortunate. 2 of them die to it, so front rank only now. So because they can no longer complete the charge against the huntsman, they can redirect. But an 8 isn't quite enough. They needed a 9 to complete the charge. So is there anyone they can charge? There isn't. So no, they actually cannot redirect the charge. So they have to attempt the charge against the original. They fail, obviously, because they're now like 20 away or something. So they just pivot towards and then move the highest one of their roll, which was a 5. To there. Oh, sorry, I forgot to test for these guys. So we'll do the Warp Grinder and Night Runners first. So I need to roll, and on a 4+, they arrive. They do not. Sneaky Infiltrators are also on a 4+. They also do not. The difference is the Gutter Runners get a +1 in their next turn to see if they arrive then. Then it was the Charges. The Helped Abomination doesn't actually charge. It just, you point it and you hope it hits, basically. So it's going to, I guess, try and charge. I think it's going to get murdered against the Flagellants. It's a really, really bad pairing. Yeah, they're going to get +2 strength. They're going to overwhelm it with hits. It's not going to stand a chance. I just don't know what else to do with it, I guess. Alright, instead... Oh, God, didn't mean to move that. Instead, I'm going to pivot it slightly. It's actually going to be sort of going in the thisward direction. And I'm just going to try and run past them because they're pointed, like, this way. They won't be able to charge it if he gets up to, like, here. So, yeah, I guess I'm just going to go straight through. Oh, actually, I'm going to aim it at that building, and it's going to try and go for that building. It has 3d6 random movement. 8. I don't think that's going to be enough. It is not, but it is enough to get it outside of the Flagellant's sphere of influence this turn. Like, they're going to have to reform next turn. They would have reformed if they could after winning this fight, but you don't reform after fighting an assault. Screech is going to inch forwards, and that way he can see. I'd, to be honest, be tempted to charge in, but I know that Salza would challenge, and there isn't anywhere Screech would be able to go to escape that challenge, and he would lose that challenge, and he doesn't want to do that. Magic. 9. Channeling 1 for Skaven, channeling 1 for Wissenland. It's funny how it can happen like this. Sometimes when you roll, say you get a total of, I don't know, 8, and you get a 6 and a 2, you know, then one side has 8 and the other side has 6. If you instead get 2 4s, then one has 8 and the other has 4. You know, this sort of thing where you have this massive disparity in the dice is very powerful also. They have the warp energy condenser, so they get an extra one on a 5+. They do not, because Screech still is that thing on his back, right there. By the way, I have this exact model for Screech. It's one of the... I think it may actually have been the first Skaven model I ever painted. Here it is. I'm still quite pleased with it, actually. He's really in a bad position to cast Crack's Call, which is very annoying, but he will go with Upcast Warp Lightning. And I think he's going to have to put in 6 dice. And no Irresistible. Total of 23. 5 dice to Dispel. Irresistible Dispelling. It's gone. Damn. That was the only thing they could do. Alright. Shooting. Jezzails are going to shoot at the Spearman. Short range. Champion. Hit. No other hits. That's a wound, and with the high strength, they have no armor save. The Rattling is going to shoot at the Spearman. 3, second dice. 1, I'm going to have to count these. Third dice. 2, again, it's the minimum I could bloody roll on 3 dice. I can't risk more, it's literally half chance of it exploding or something, so I'm going to have to go with 6. It's long range, almost out of range, but is just in range to hit. No wounds, come on! The Warp Lightning, I think, is probably going to go for the Flagellants, because they're quite a raving mad threat. Maybe I should try the Warp Fire first. Yeah, alright, I'm going to do the Warp Fire against the Flagellants first, because if they do some decent damage, I won't need to waste the Warp Lightning on it. Another one of those times where I can't quite get the angle. I want to split the difference and have it go that way. But 15 degree is either, you know, there or there, so I'm just going to treat it as there. And it flies forwards. Misfire. For fuel leak. Immediately roll 2d6 and the scatter to determine the direction the team runs before exploding. Scatter. That direction, at least that's probably not going to hit anything important. 7 inches in that direction before they explode. Oh, that is a direction towards something important. They will stop if they touch a unit. 7 inches that way. Well, they don't touch a unit, but they explode at the closest possible bloody place to it. Okay. Large round template. I would say that is these 4 definitely. I don't think it's that one. Oh, I think in all good conscience I have to say that one as well. So 5 Storm Vermin. 5 wounds, and at this strength they get a minus save for dead. Any unit that suffers casualties from the Warp Fire Thrower has to take a panic test, so they are testing with a reroll due to Vitan. Due to strength in numbers, they use Vitan's leadership of 6 plus 2 for the ranks, so they're testing on an 8 with a reroll. They have a decent chance of holding, which they do. Okay, well, I guess the Warp Lightning is going for the Flagellants. Please don't explode. At this point, I genuinely think Pfieldorf is cursed. There is just some sort of curse over this city. Maybe it's all the bad karma from Solland and Wissenland fighting, but oh god, it's awful here. Now I want to place it in such a way that even if it overshoots, it may hit this building. Yeah, if it rolls a 10, it'll hit the building and could very well bring down one of the buildings, which will be very good for the Skaven. Please don't misfire, please don't misfire, please don't misfire. Okay, direct. I don't know why I rolled scatter. Sorry, I shouldn't have rolled scatter. 8. That is good. Oh, hang on. I shouldn't have fired that close. Sorry, I forgot that this wasn't the bounce. This was just how far it bloody goes. So, oh no. Whoops. So it's barely going to hit the Flagellants because I forgot how cannons work. And now this is the strength 2. Bloody 2. That is not enough to hit the building, so it hits, going that way, it's just going to hit 2 Flagellants, because this one and that guy who's right behind him right there. Ah, the bloody curse of Pfieldorf. They no longer benefit from the +1 toughness, but that's still no wounds. Combat. They are probably, yeah, they're going to challenge. The Rat Ogre is going to challenge. But before they do, the Rat Ogres inflict fear. So they are going to be testing on Salza's 9, and they are just outside of range of a reroll. So they're just testing on Salza's 9, which they pass. So no fear. And Salza versus the Rat Ogre champion. Salza first, 3 hit, 2 wounds, no saves. So that's 2 wounds off the champion. It has 4 attacks plus 1 for the frenzy, but it has a very low chance to hit, only 1 hit. Good chance of wounding, oh, come on. No wound! The Rat Ogres are actually faster than the Halberdiers, so 3 Rat Ogres and a Packmaster hit next. And due to being monstrous infantry, they actually get 3 supporting attacks instead of the usual 1, plus an extra couple for frenzy for a total of 11. Only 4 hits. And 3 wounds. Because why would I not roll a 1? They don't get an armor save against that, though. And the Packmaster's attack, hit, no wound. Only 9 Halberdier attacks, because this guy, even if he's ignored for the support, can't actually hit anyone other than the champion. 6 hit, and due to the halberds, they are striking at +1 strength, 3 wound. That's 1 Rat Ogre dead. And then finally, the stomp attacks. I forgot to do the stomp attack in the challenge. Oh, that was nearly a 1, but that is a wound. Because Salza is only wearing light armor because he's so hard to hit. But that means when he does get hit by something like a stomp, it really counts. 2 stomps against the Halberdiers, also both wound, no saves. And I think that may have just tipped this over into a draw. Because the Halberdiers get 1 for the standard, 1 for a rank, so it is a draw. Oh, but they have a musician! They have a musician and the Rat Ogres don't. So when there is a draw, the musician gives them an extra 1, which is why if both sides have musicians, you just ignore the musician, but in this case, it matters. So they're testing on a -1, however, they only have a leadership of 5 normally. That's from Screech, so wow, they actually hold. Wow, they hold. Okay, they were testing on a 4. Bloody hell. This match is absolute chaos so far, and we're only going into Wissenland Turn 3. Yeah, they can probably make this charge. The spearmen want to charge in so that they don't keep getting shot, because they are at the moment the best and easiest shooting target. Both the Jezzails, the Rattling Gun, and Screech are all targeting them. So, yeah, they're going to charge in, and I think they need a 5. Yeah, they need a 5 because they have a movement of 4. Doesn't matter that it's drawing a line through the building, because it just matters if they can reach it. So they can. So they move up and into the front. But I think that's it for charges. Testing the crossbowman and the huntsman both to rally, both on a 7. Crossbows, they pass. Huntsman, they fail. So the huntsmen flee a further 4 inches this way, which is not quite enough to get them off the board. The crossbowmen rally, so they are going to reform to just turn around. And over here, the flagellants are also going to reform. They cannot charge, so they're not affected by their frenzy. But they're going to reform there so that they are going to be able to charge the abomination next turn. Magic. 9. Channeling Skaven. Channeling Wissenland. No. As he is in this combat, Horst cannot do a fireball, but the Skaven are going to try and dispel his cloak, and then he will try and recast it when they succeed. So Screech is going to try and dispel it on 1 dice this time, which he succeeds because he only needed a 5. So the cloak is gone, and then he's going to try and cast it again, but he's going to need to use 5 or 6 dice to try and do it. This is why he wanted to do it on so few dice, to guarantee, or to greatly increase, rather, the chance that Horst is going to mess up and go boom. So yeah, he's going to try and cast it on... Ooh, it's actually going to be incredibly useful now. Yeah, Horst is feeling impetuous. He's going to go for 6, just to increase his chances. Not irresistible. Total of 26. Screech is going to dispel on 5. Irresistible dispelling. It is not returned, so the moment he actually needs his flame cloak, it's just not there, because Screech is sat behind this building, laughing his head off. Shooting. The mortar doesn't really have any targets. That is within range, and he can see it, so I guess he's going to try to mortar the warp lightning, but he'd need a direct hit to do anything of worth. So yeah, he's going to try and go for there. He has... Oh, yeah, he has line of sight there. Scatter. Scatters 2 inches that way, which takes it... Oh, so it's not going to be a direct hit, but it can still do damage. Because the crew are ignored, it needs a 6, and it doesn't get it. The handgunners are going to continue shooting at the Hellpit Abomination, all 4 of them. Champion, hit. 1 more hit. 1 wound, but it's regenerated. The cannon is probably also going to go for the warp lightning, because the only other choice it has is the rattling gun, which is a long shot and can't really do much, or shooting at their own houses, which they do not want to do. So he's going to go for the warp lightning, aiming there. It overshoots by 8, which is a hit. Ooh, very, very nearly, like a 10 and he would have overshot. But an 8 is a hit, so it doesn't really matter if it bounces, there's no point rolling. So that is a hit, and this could well destroy it. The curse of Pfieldorf strikes again. A direct hit from a cannonball, and it just goes through the holes in the frame. You know, one of the engineers ducks to pick up a shiny coin he saw on the ground, and it just goes whizzing over his head. Combat. Empire chooses, so we will do this one first. Otto will challenge, and Vitan will accept. But before we get to that, Vitan is carrying the banner of the Under Empire. At the beginning of each round of combat, all units in contact suffer 2d6 strength 2 hits as they are overrun by a horde of rats. So that'll be fun. 7 hits. Low chance to wound, but they're basically free hits. 2 wounds anyway. Neither are saved, so that's just 2 dead. I don't know if this contributes to combat resolution. I feel like it should, in the same way as like impact hits and stuff do, even though they're technically before the combat, so I'm going to count it. I can't remember. Did this unit previously get hit by Warp Lightning? Because they should have had a ward save because he's carrying the Lichbone Pennant. I don't remember. I hope not. Vitan has the higher initiative, so he goes first. 2 hit. He's got a halberd, increasing his strength by 1, so 2 wounds. Does get an armor save, but fails both. I think that might just be Otto dead, because he's just a captain. Yeah, Otto is just killed by Vitan. Wow. Okay, that's really bad for them. Storm Vermin up next with 10 attacks due to the champion. 6 hit. They also have halberds, but only 3 wounds. They got unlucky. Horse strikes at the same time as the spearman, but has the same stat line, so I'll just lump them all together. Total of 11 attacks because of the champion. 7 hit, because they don't get their extra rank of spearman, because they charged 4 wounds. 3 were saved, only 1 wound. Storm Vermin get 1 for the banner, 1 for their battle standard, and 2 rank. They get 1 for the banner and 3 rank. So the spearmen lose by 5. They are outside of the range of their general, but they are steadfast. They have more ranks than the Storm Vermin, so they're still testing on a 7, which they just pass. Ralph versus the Rat Ogre continues. 4 hit. 3 wounds, so I think that's the champion dead. It is. However, it turns out Ralph has the same initiative as the champion, so that the champion will still fight. Oh, that 5+ to hit is killer. No hits at all. So this is probably when the combat is turning. 8 Roger attacks against the halberds. Only 2 hit. Only 1 wound, but no save. Now that the Packmaster's on the front rank, he actually gets 2 attacks because he has 2 hand weapons. They both miss, though. 9 halberdier attacks against the Rat Ogres and then 1 against the Packmaster. That is abysmal rolling, but still 3 hits. Only 1 wound, which isn't even enough to kill 1 Rat Ogre. And the one against the Packmaster misses. Well, they get 1 for the banner and 1 for the rank, so they win by 5. So the Rat Ogres need a double 1, which they don't get. I forgot to roll for fear. They easily pass, never mind. So the Rat Ogres flee, they have scurry away, so add 1 to this. A total of 6 inches. They are going to pursue, which they do 7 inches. So they wipe out the Rat Ogres directly next to Screech. So he's the only one who's going to have to test. Nothing else is within 6 inches. He's testing on a 5, which he fails. So he also flees. 8 inches plus the 1, 9 inches. So he does actually go through impassable terrain here. So he will have to take a dangerous terrain test. He's fine, though. The board's really getting quite empty, isn't it? Just as we go into Skaven, turn 3. So first, does the Warp Grinder arrive? 4+. No. Do the Gutter Runners arrive? 3+. Yes. So they arrive from any board edge. So where is the most advantageous place to put them? I'm still hoping to have the Warp Grinder and a massive unit of Night Runners arrive there, so I don't want to put them here, that would be a waste. But instead, if I put them here, because they can arrive from literally any place on the board edge. So if I put them right here, they can then go for the crossbowmen, stop them getting into that building, and then potentially go around for the mortar. It's going to be hard, isn't it? I kind of think I might have to place them over here to deal with the flagellants, because you got to place them with their back against the edge. They could very easily make that charge, rear charge the flagellants, catch them unawares, do a load of damage. I think that's probably a good use for these guys, and then trust that the Night Runners are going to come and wipe out everything around here. Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to have to do. Damn. Okay, turns out they won't be able to charge the turn they arrive, because they actually arrive after charges are declared. So wherever I put them, they're not going to be able to charge. I still think there's my best bet, because they can either chase after the flagellants or clear this building of the crossbowmen. Either way is going to be a win for the Skaven. Thinking about where to pilot the abomination, I could either have it go after the spearmen and flank charge and almost certainly wipe that unit out, or go ahead towards this and almost certainly wipe that out, or go over this way after them, and that's probably the only way they're going to get out of being charged by the flagellants. And the Hell Pit Abomination, while good in combat, would definitely die against the flagellants. So I think I'm going to go after the crossbowman, just because that's his only chance of not being dead, and it's a valuable unit. I'd like to see it used. First of all, I'll just roll for Screech to see if he recovers 5. He does not, so he flees 7 inches. He is still on the board, but won't be able to do any magic this turn. And now to see if the Hell Pit Abomination can reach the crossbowman. Random movement, 3d6. Ooh, that is a nice roll. 14. That is definitely enough to move up. And I think I would say that is, he was definitely in their front. So they are going to pivot in order to meet him. I can't move them any closer. Because it's random movement, they don't get a charge reaction. You just can't predict their movement enough. But I think that is it. Because, oh yeah, that's when these guys come on. I am going to move them because I can, and I want them to be as close as possible in order to charge the flagellants if the flagellants, move in one of these directions. Also, turns out they're carrying throwing weapons. So yeah, I'm going to see if I can march them to get a little bit closer. They have an unusually high leadership of 7 for Skaven, and they definitely manage it. So yeah, they can march, and because they're skirmishers, they can shoot after marching, I believe. Yeah, they can. So they are now right up on their arse, like so. It's as close as they can get without, being within the 1 inch thing. So yeah, they are definitely going to be firing in the shooting phase. There is no magic because Screech can't do any. Who are the Jezzails going to shoot at? They can probably see the Huntsman. They've got a range of 36. They can draw line of sight from anywhere on the building, so they could also go for the mortar team, or they could try and clear the cannon. They can't shoot into the combat, and they can't see those because of the angle, I would say. Or maybe. Because you draw line of sight from anywhere in the building, theoretically that is okay, even not counting them as in this part. Yeah, even assuming that this is a solid line here, so treating this as the edge of the building from here without... then again, I don't know. It's a bit of a tight angle. I'd like them to, but I'm going to say they can't. They have a very low chance of hitting the cannon because it's in hard cover being in a building, and even if they hit it, they'd have a low chance of wounding it. Same with the mortar, really. I think they're going to go for the Huntsman, which, although it is still long range, if they do hit it, they're almost certainly going to wound. Champion, miss. Of the 3, 1 hit. No wound, because, of course, Curse of Pfieldorf. What am I thinking? No chance that can shoot these guys. Can't shoot this. Can't see the flagellants. Is it within range of... No, it is not. So the rattling gun is not going to fire. The warp fire exploded, so the warp lightning is going to go for the flagellants. Oh, actually, let's do these guys against the flagellants first. They are carrying throwing weapons, which have a 6-inch range, which means these guys are at long bloody range. At the back, he isn't, so these 2 are at long range, and these 8 are not. They did still move, so they get a penalty for that. 5 hits, though, and the other 2 hit as well. Total of 7 hits is pretty good. 1 wound. Great. Well, they don't get a save or anything, so that is 1 fewer flagellant to deal with, but that is poor. So I think I am going to warp lightning the flagellants, and I'm going to remember how it works this time and not overshoot it. Or should I go for the cannon? No, because the cannon is... I don't know. I feel like the flagellants are a bigger threat than the cannon is. The cannon's only going for the warp lightning, but if if the flagellants take out the storm vermin, it's probably over. So I will go there, and it overshoots by misfire. Frickin' Pfieldorf! So roll d6 on the warp fire. Energy overload. Roll the scatter and turn the cannon to face in that direction. Resolve a shot at strength 10, going 4d6 in a straight line, with the large template at the end. So roll a scatter to determine which direction, using the little roll, I assume, the little thingy. So this may still help. No, it's not helping at all. So I thought maybe it would hit a building. It is not, so there's no point rolling the shot because there's nothing there. I suppose it may still, depending on the roll, may still hit the cannon itself. No, it doesn't. Okay. Pfft. End of shooting then. Let's do this one because this will be fun. First of all, it inflicts d6 impact hits when it charges. 1. A massive bloody 1. And a 1 to... I feel like the game is mocking me now. The number of terrible rolls in this game astound me. And the Helped Abomination, which has the higher initiative, doesn't do combat in the normal way, and similar to how giants don't. Instead, you roll a d6 to find out whether it eats things, hits things, or flops on things. By the way, this thing is like an amalgamated mass of rats stitched together. It's horrendous. It's the reason it's called an abomination. And the result is 4. Flailing Fists makes 3d6 attacks. So it makes a massive 11 attacks. And before I roll to hit, I should roll for fear because this thing causes terror. They just pass, but they do pass. 6 hit. And any of these are, yeah, that's 6 dead. That is the entire unit. So the crossbowmen are wiped out by the flailing fists of the Helped Abomination, which will then reform to there. Yeah, I can see that now. Or should it reform that way and maybe go in to assist the gutter runners? Ooh, that could be interesting. Yeah, I'm gonna ignore this stuff. Just leave it to be mopped up by the night runners when they eventually arrive. And now Vitan will challenge, which will be accepted by the Spearman champion, because damn sure that Horst isn't going to accept that challenge. First, they take 2d6 strength 2 hits, 3 from the Banner of the Under Empire. No wounds. Vitan's attacks, 2 hit, +1 strength for the halberd, still only 1 wound, and even that bloody barely. But 1 wound is still enough to kill the champion. 10 storm vermin attacks. 8 hits. This could be the turn. Halberds given +1 strength. 5 wounds. They do get an armor save, but none of them pass, so 5 spearmen dead. And they actually get 15 attacks because the spear gives them an extra rank of support attacks now that they're not on the turn that they charged. Bloody only 3 hits. Only 1 wound. Not saved though, so that is the only wound they get, because Horst was lumped in with those because he has the same stat line. Skaven get 1 for the banner, 1 for the battle standard, 2 for rank. They get 1 for the standard, 2 for rank. They lose and are no longer steadfast because they have the same number of ranks, so they are testing on a -6, which is a double 1. Which they do not get, so I always move away. Which they then flee 10 inches and are going to be pursued 8. So they do get away, which is rare. It's so rare that things actually manage to escape their pursuit. So they go 10 inches, which, oh, actually, if I just stop them there, 10 inches is enough to take them into impassable terrain. Sorry, it says 4.5, it's less than 1 inch, just because it's gone up. So they are going to have to pass it, which, let me just have a quick look. Yeah, that kind of looks like this last rank are going through it as well. So yeah, they clear it and stop there. And all of them have to test for dangerous terrain for passing through impassable terrain. So that's Horst and 16 spearmen. Horst. Passes. 16 spearmen, only 2 fail. But as they take panic tests as normal, I'm going to say that counts as fleeing through the Great Cannon. So the Great Cannon now has to test. On a 7, they hold. Anyway, these pursue 8. They obviously do not catch them, so they are now there. I still don't know how this match is going to go as we go into Wissenland Turn 4. First of all, the Flagellants, if they can charge, have to. And although they can see the Storm Vermin, I don't think they can legally charge it. Because the wording of the wording of the rules is that they get 1 wheel of up to 90 degrees, and that 1 wheel would put them, there, but they don't have a free movement. You know, they'd need to wheel and then wheel, and they can't do that with a single wheel. So they cannot charge, and therefore are not required to. I don't believe there are any other charges, so the other compulsory moves are the fleeing. So we've got the Spearman and the Huntsman. Spearman first, testing on Horst, who is the same as them, 7. They pass, and the Huntsman, also a 7, also pass. Okay, both units rally. The Spearmen are going to pivot to there, just in case this does arrive, because they are aware of it. The Huntsmen are just going to turn around to there, because they may actually be able to shoot. I believe they can, because they are skirmishers who can shoot after reforming. It counts as having moved, but that was a reformation and they can shoot. I really feel I should have pinned down the rules for how these houses worked better, because, they're counted as in that one, they couldn't shoot them, so therefore they shouldn't be able to, charge this theoretically and fight them. So, yeah, I think I'm going to have to go with that because I penalise the Skaven for not being in this side. I can't reward, I can't treat them as being in this side for them. So they're just going to reform to face this way. And the Flagellants are going to reform to face this way. Didn't expect that, did you, you sneaky, what are they? They're the gutter runners. Sneaky gutter runners. Magic. 8. Channeling 1 for the... Sorry, I should have said that quicker. For the Empire, because I don't think Screech can channel when he is fleeing. The downside is Horst has nothing to shoot at because they're waiting for something to arrive. But he will cast, or try and cast, the Fire Cloak on 5. Thing is it worth it? Yes, because it's basically the only thing he can do. The reason I'm hesitating is it's a very low-cost spell, but he is going to have to put in 6 dice to stand a chance at it not being dispelled. And it's is it worth the risk of a miscast? I don't think it is, I think I'm better off waiting and just holding on. Shooting. The mortar is going to go for the warp cannon again, positioned right over the middle of it. And scatter, that's what it's... Direct hit. Ooh, pretty decent chance of doing damage. Which it does. Does D3 wounds, so it can't actually wipe them out. All Empire stuff is crewed by 3 people. But this is only crewed... the Warp Lightning Cannon is crewed by 4. But on a D3 or a D6, that is just 1, so only loses 1 wound. And 1 crew. Before I do the handgunners, who could shoot at either the Storm Vermin or the Helped Abomination, because they have a 360-degree range, I'm going to do the Huntsman first, because they can only shoot at the Helped Abomination, and if they manage to kill it, then the handgunners are free to shoot at the Storm Vermin. So 5 shots, all at long range, and they have moved. Champion. Hit. Everybody else. All miss. No wound. In that case, the handgunners are going to go for it. Better I take this out. They can't do enough meaningful damage to the Storm Vermin. At short range, the champion misses. The other 3, 2 hit, but no wounds. I think the cannon is going to shoot Grape Shot, because that's a range of 12. It's rare I get to fire it, because it's rare things are within that range of the cannon, but yeah, it's either that or shooting at the Warp Lightning, which is not really doing a great deal. So yeah, I'm going to go for the Storm Vermin with a Grape Shot. And the way this works is you roll an artillery dice to determine how many shots are fired. 2. And due to its short range, they are technically at long range, so no hit. And with no combat, we go into Deathtoll Turn 4. Does the Warp Grinder show up on a 4+? No, it doesn't. I hope it shows up in the game at some point. This just seems too nice. I think they're going to charge the building that the Great Cannon is in, the Storm Vermin, because it's right there. It just shot at them. It is 6 inches away, which is within the minimum. Can a Great Cannon... I'm fairly sure it can't. Can a Great Cannon do a stand and shoot? No, they cannot. They can only choose to hold. So in that case, it just charges up. And that's as close as I can get it. And even then, it's still rising off the ground a bit. Yeah. The Hellpit Abomination is going to turn to face this building, now that the Flagellants are not looking in this direction. And he also probably can't hit them. They're just out of the way, and he can only move in a straight line. So, he's going to just charge straight at this building and see what happens. Yep, that is definitely enough to get into contact with the building, and didn't roll a triple, so he's fine. So he is now assaulting the building. Oh, I forgot to test Screech. Testing on a 5. He actually recovers. That is somewhat miraculous. And the question is, can he see them? I think he probably can. Look, there's a direct line there past the building. So that means he can probably shoot them with Warp Lightning. I think that's all the movement. The Gutter Runners are just going to stay where they are. So, magic. 4. Channeling Skaven. Channeling Wissenland. Nope. It is a bit questionable whether he can see him, but, you know, earlier we had a Fireball thread the needle, so I think it's fair the Warp Lightning can as well. Upcast Warp Lightning needs a 12, minus 2 for the level, so a 10, which he barely gets. Total of 13. Try and dispel that with all 3. Ooh, that was very nearly a 5, but that is not enough. That's only a 10. Sorry, an 11, including his level. So, Warp Lightning is cast, upcast. So, oh, hang on. Oh, it doesn't matter. Yeah, I forgot to roll for his extra one, which he didn't get anyway, because of the Warp Condenser. But the Warp Condenser does also increase the Warp Lightning. So it does 2d6 plus 4. I rolled 1 dice there, and there's the second dice. A, that's a very low roll. B, oh no, it's only a double 1 that causes issues. Alright, well that's a total of 8 hits. That is piddling. Come on, Screech. Oh, the Curse of Pfieldorf. Only 2 wounds, but they get no armor against that due to the high strength of it. Shooting. We have a fair bit of shooting going on here, because the Rattling Gun is going to shoot at something. That's why it's pivoted. The Warp Cannon's going to try again. But we'll start with the Jezzails, who are going to shoot at the Spearmen all the way over there. So it's long range, but due to the height advantage, all 4 of them can see him. Champion. Hit. The other 3. 2 hits, so a total of 3. Very good chance to wound. 3 wounds. And at strength 6, with armor piercing, they get no saves at all. And that was just 1 kill off them having to take a panic test. Are they going to get shot again? No, they're not. Not this round. Not this phase. So they are safe from a panic test today, right now, in this very moment. The Rattling Gun doesn't really have any good targets. Like, they are out of range. It's only got a range of 18. So, the Rattling Gun is going to fall back to its other orders as Screech is like, don't forget to destroy stuff. So, that's not his voice, but whatever. So, it's actually going to shoot at the building. So, it's got a low chance to damage it. It's got a toughness of 8, but, yeah, this is good for them to try. So, hopefully, we get more than 6. So, first roll. 1. Not a good start. Second roll. 4. Third roll. Like, at some point, bad luck has to just be, like, a statistical impossibility, right? 3 times, all 3 times this thing has fired, it's got exactly 6 shots because it rolled a 1, a 2 and a 3 on the 3 bloody dice. It is long range. Can the rattling gun hit the broadside of a building? It seems it cannot. It hit it once, and a very low chance to wound, which it fails to do. Worth a try. The warp lightning is going to go for the flagellants, because if it overshoots, it can hit that building and maybe do something good. So it's going to go there, and theoretically, if it overshoots, it will continue on through the unit and into the building. So it overshoots by 6 inches to there. That is a good sign, as long as it has a decent strength. So the strength of the shot is freaking 2. 2! Excuse me, sorry. So it goes there, it looks like it hits those 2 automatically, but also it hits everything within that, so there's nothing in the path that isn't in the template. So it hits, I'd say 8, because it's definitely clipping the top of that guy's base, but not the top of that one's. So 8 flagellants. That's strength bloody 2. This thing can hit at strength 10. Whatever, 5 wounds. Whole back row gone, because they wear no armour. And then down here, the gutter runners are all going to shoot at the flagellants, and because they reformed, they are now all within half range. 10 shots, bloody 5 ones, because this is Pfieldorf, and that sort of thing just happens. 3 hits. 3 wounds, though, and again, no armour, so that's 3 more flagellants. They've done very well at chipping down this unit without really confronting them with anything other than Skaven slaves. Now, combat. Let's start off with the Hell Pit Abomination versus the Handgunners. Being a monster, it counts as all 5 models for the attacking side, not that that really matters, and there are only 4 handgunners left. The Abomination has Terror, and although they can't... oh, hang on. No, they couldn't have taken a charge reaction because of the random movement. But we do still have to test for Fear, which they then fail, because I believe... Yeah, that's the Skaven one. So yeah, they fail that. So they're at Weapon Skill 1. I can't find any rules about whether impact hits, which the Hell Pit Abomination has, are done when assaulting a garrison. To me, it seems silly because you're not actually hitting the people when you charge in, you know, you're hitting the building. So maybe I do the impact hits against the building. I think normally that wouldn't be the case, but because this is sort of destructible buildings, and that's sort of the point, that seems like a cool cinematic way to work it out. So yeah, we're going to do the impact hits against the building and see what happens. So it has D6 impact hits, it has 6 impact hits. The building is toughness 7, and even then it's still a bloody 5+. And it completely fails, so alright. But the Abomination doesn't hit normally, so it is a 4. Flailing Fist makes 3d6 attacks. 8. 6 hits. And yeah, this is probably it. Only just, but yes it is. They only had 4 guys left, and all 4 guys just got killed. So that is no more handgunners. I don't believe a monster can occupy a building, so he cannot actually enter it, so he's just going to back up. Over here, the Storm Vermin versus the Great Cannon. Choosing the attackers, it's going to be the front row for convenience, which includes the Champion and Vatan. And for the Banner of the Under Empire, which affects all units in base contact, the way it works with this is I believe the unit in the building is counted as in base contact, but only by 1 model. But that is enough to trigger the effect. So they are hit by two rats that just swarm over them and manage to get a kill. With no armor, that is just immediately 1 dead. Vitan's attacks, 2 hit, 2 more wounds. That's the cannon destroyed. All 3 of the crew members are dead. Let's see, they'd need a 9 to make a charge. I think they are going to enter the building because then they can leave from any side, and that way they're not a viable charge at all. So they are going to occupy that building. Now Wissenland Turn 5. Obviously the flagellants are going to immediately charge the gutter runners. They have no choice, and it is obviously what they've been trying to do for the last 2 turns since they arrived. I will just swap in the gutter runners' tight formation for this because they are not going to flee. Instead, they are going to stand and shoot at short range. Normally you can't stand and shoot if the charging enemy is within their minimum move distance, but the gutter runners' throwing weapons are quick to fire, which means they can always stand and shoot. 5 hit. Only 2 wounds. That's rather poor actually, I expected a lot better. And they complete the charge. These guys are still waiting for a warp grinder that isn't there, so they're like, what the hell do we do now? Do we just keep waiting? Because it's sort of one of the only real threats left. That said, the Skaven are currently the only ones occupying buildings, and they have 2. Salza's unit is going to pivot, move 3 inches. No, he's going to, just in case, he's going to move 2. And then pivot again. And then this way, he's going to try and march, just in case. But now this building is in the front arc, so that they can try and charge it next turn to clear out the Jezzails. Just to guarantee it, he's going to try and march on a 9 and just succeeds. So they are going to move forward another 3 inches and pivot 1 more, so that they are absolutely going to charge that next turn. Over here, they're going to rotate twice and then move forward 2 inches. Yes, there are enemies within 8 inches, so they are also going to have to test, this time on a 7, to try and march, which they again just get, and I just need to double check you can march into a building. Yes, they can. So they are going to rotate another 1, and then boom, they are now inside. Come on. They are now inside the building. And I think that's it. The huntsmen are going to stay where they are and keep shooting at the Hell Pit Abomination. So that is it. So into magic. And now he has a 360-degree field of view. So he's going to try and fireball a 6. Channeling 1 for Skaven. Yes. Channeling 1 for Wissenland. No. Awkwardly, the only thing he can actually fireball is the building with the storm vermin in. He's going to do it. There's no point trying to cast the flame cloak, so he's just going to do a max upcast fireball. So he needs an 18. He's going to use 6 dice. Didn't irresistible. 17. Oh, with his level, that's 17. That's 1 short, so he doesn't cast it. And in this case, I was going to make a ruling that will probably be a bit controversial. I was going to say that it hits the unit and the building. Let me know what you think of that, whether because it's a magic missile and you sort of, like magic missile in D&D actually, you can't miss with it. You know, you just, if you cast the spell, it hits. Do you think that would mean it shouldn't hit the building? Maybe, yeah, actually, thinking about it, maybe magic missiles only hit what's in it, but direct damage can hit anything, like would hit the building as well. Let me know what you think. Huntsmen are going to shoot at the abomination. They can all see, but they are all at long range. Champion, miss. Everybody else, miss. Good job. Pride of the Empire. The mortar is going to keep firing at the warp lightning because it can see it and it's one of the only targets left. Scatter. 6 inches that way, which I'm fairly sure hits nothing at all. Yep, nothing at all. Combat, we only have the flagellants versus the gutter runners, and the gutter runners are equipped with snare nets, which means that enemy models in base contact suffer -1 weapon skill and initiative, so that seems, based on the way that's worded, it only affects the front rank. It says models, not units. These 5 have -1 weapon skill initiative, these ones do not. Either way, the gutter runners are faster. The flagellant champion will challenge, which will be... Oh, hang on, they've got to take their damage first. They have to take their medicine. They take 3 strength 3 hits, because it's D3, resulting in 3 wounds. Oh no, it's a D6. Sorry. Did I say 3 wounds? I meant 2, but I've got to roll another 3 because it was a D6. So 4 wounds in total. This is the thing with flagellants. They're very powerful, but they just drop like flies. However, they do now have... I deleted it. They do now have +1 toughness with a reroll to hit and to wound. And the champions are going to fight with the gutter runner going first. 2 hits. If either of these is a wound, they are not. So the flagellant champion does get to fight back. Has 2 attacks normally plus 1 for the frenzy. 2 hit. Due to the flail, that is 2 wounds. But the champion and, well, the entire unit has dodge, which is a ward save because they are so nimble they can avoid attacks. Most gutter runners have a 6+ ward save, but the champion is the death runner, which has a 5+ ward save. And saves both! It jumps over the flail swings! 9 other gutter runner attacks, all of which hit. Wow, that was all 4s and 5s. But with the increased toughness, that is only 1 wound. That is very poor and very bad for them because now all the flagellants are going to be striking back. But I'll do them separately because the 4 at the front have lower weapon skill. In this case, the lower weapon skill doesn't make a difference. They're all hitting on a 4, so I will roll them all together. Oh, hang on. Oh no, he got. Oh yes, hang on. I forgot they re-roll to hit and to wound, so the champion's 3rd hit that missed still misses. Never mind, carry on. Due to the frenzy, the 9 of them are putting out 13 attacks. 7 hit, re-roll the misses, total of 8 hit. This may have been a miscalculation on the gutter runner's part. 7 wounds, re-roll the miss. Nope, just... Oh, sorry, yes, 8 wounds, and they have a 6+ ward save. 1 dodges, 7 gutter runners die. That went a lot worse than I was expecting it to. The flagellants have 1 extra for the rank, so they win the combat by 7. They're testing on a double 1, which they fail, so they flee. Add 1 to that, so total of 8. And they are pursued. 9. They are run down. All of the gutter runners are dead. And they move 8 inches this way, which nearly puts them off the board, but not quite. Does mean that they are effectively out of the fight, though, because there is no way they're going to reach anything in the last turn. And we go into Deathtoll Turn 5. Now let's see if the Warp Grinder arrives on a 4+. Come on, come on. Yay! I actually get to use the bloody unit I paid for. Alright. Oh, I just scrunched them, look at that. In my excitement, I broke all my models. Plus side is, it's very easy to fix this. I just do it like this. Still takes a bit of fixing, but to determine exactly where the Warp Grinder emerges, you roll a scatter and an artillery. So it goes that way, misfire. Roll on the table below. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. 4. Partial collapse. The Warp Grinder is removed as a casualty, and make a strength test for each model in the parent unit. If the model is passed, they are placed as normal. If they fail, they are killed. There are 29 gutter runners and a champion, so the champion first. He fails. 7 more. 13 total fail, 13 and the champion. That is almost half the unit gone before they even arrive. But they do finally arrive. So I think in this case they arrive touching this. So I guess they're going to go there with aims of charging this and stopping them from occupying it. See, if they'd arrived earlier in the game, they would have gone down this flank and taken out all of these guys, instead of, you know, doing something in only the last turn of the game. I think Screech is going to march this way. His total of 5 inches marching up to 10. Oh, and the Helpet Abomination. I'm not going to change what he's doing. He's just going to hit this building again, because if he can destroy it, then that's great. So, random movement, needs to roll a 1, but just needs to not get a triple is the important part there. He rams the building! Magic. Double 1. Wonderful. Channeling Skaven. Yes. Channeling Wissenland. No. Warp Energy Condenser. No. Nothing Screech could warp lightning is within range or sight, so I think I'd be remiss not to do Crack's Call in this scenario at least once. Needs a 14, which he does not get. Gets a total of 12. Never mind. Shooting. They are definitely within sight of the Jezzails now, so they are going to shoot at Ralph's unit. Champion. Hit. Of the 3, 2 hit. A bloody 1 wound. Come on, a 2+. 2+, got 1 wound. Ratling is going to shoot at the building again. First roll. 5! The world is different now. Everything seems so bright and colourful. Second roll. 2. Third roll. 2. Well, there goes that bright colour. Immediately roll misfire. 1. No shots are fired and the weapon is removed from play. And then the warp lightning. I might just shoot at that building. Or this one. Because at the moment everybody is trying to destroy this building and failing. It's got such a low chance of doing anything. Aiming there. Trying to hit this building. And it overshoots by 2 to there. And then it bounces. Come on, something higher than a 2, something higher than a 2, something higher than a miss. And on that misfire, 1. The cannon is removed. Saves on pack up, right, Screech? When there are so few of you left to carry all these things back, why bother, you know? The only combat is the abomination against this building. So first of all, impact hits. D6, it does 1. And no wound. And I'm to be honest, this whole time I've been a bit on the fence about whether units should be able to directly attack the buildings. Because, you know, with like a big unit of them, surely they'd just be able to bring it down over a turn or 2, you know, just by, if they get like 10 attacks or 15 attacks or something like that against a building, even one with high toughness and 5 damage, they're going to bring it down just by sheer chance. But I don't think there is any reason to say a monster can't. Like, missile fire theoretically could, like war machines definitely could, and I think monsters could too. And he does 5. Avalanche of Flesh. Every modelling contact must pass an initiative test or suffer an automatic strength 6 hit. In addition, he inflicts 2d6 automatic hits. It fails the initiative test. It is a building. So that is 2d6 plus 1. 10, 11 total hits. If any of these is a success, the building is destroyed. 4 of them are. We have a destroyed building. There we go. I think that's probably the best I can do. The Skaven actually managed to destroy one of the buildings. As we go into Wissenland's final turn. Salza's unit is charging this building. The Flagellants are reforming, but really doesn't matter. And I think that's it. Like, you'll notice Vatan's unit didn't leave the building. Why would they at this point? You know, they've occupied a building and they're here to do as much damage to Pfieldorf as they can. In vengeance for its curse. And, that they do that by staying in the building. You don't want to know what they're doing in there. And the Spearmen will do likewise here. They're going to hold. Magic, 9. Channeling Skaven. Channeling Wissenland. No. I think their only chance really at holding the building, it might be a bit touch and go with if the Night Runners charge. So I think he's going to have to do a massive upcast fireball at the Night Runners in an attempt to just scare them off. So he needs an 18, which he gets with a 26. Attempting to dispel. They get an irresistible dispel. It's gone. Oh, that would have been devastating. And now Wissenland's final shooting turn. They're going to continue shooting at the Abomination. Champion. Hit. 1 other hit. No wounds. And the Mortar has sort of run out of things to shoot at. It can't see Screech. I suppose it could shoot at the Helped Abomination. No, it can't. It's within the 12-inch minimum range. So without wanting to... actually, can they see the Night Runners? I kind of think the Huntsmen are in the way. They're like, they can just see one guy's foot because these guys are in the way. So I'm going to say they probably can't. So unless they want to bombard their own building, which is within, like, it is beyond the minimum range, there's no point, because unless they somehow manage to do enough damage to make them flee, theoretically they could. So yeah, alright. Because the worst they can do is destroy the building, you know, and they've claimed it anyway. So if they have a chance at scaring them out of the building, which would happen if they do panic from casualties, then this might actually work. Rolling scatter, misfire. Well, never mind then. It is destroyed. That is 3 things that have been completely destroyed. Oh, I didn't mean to scrunch them together. Completely destroyed by misfiring in the last turn. Like, at this point, the curse of Pfieldorf is like, sorry, are you shooting at my buildings? Boom, gone. Oh, are you also shooting at my buildings? Gone. Hey, you're on our side. Why are you shooting at my buildings? Oh, actually, the Giselles could have stand and shooted. Standed and shoot at them, because it's not slow to fire, so they do actually get another round of shooting. Champion, hit. 2 more hits. I wonder if this might actually be enough. That's 3 wounds. Yeah, that is going to be enough to cause to trigger a panic test, because they lost a quarter. Over a quarter, you know, there are only 8 of them left and they just lost 3. So they are going to test for panic on Salza's 9, which they managed to pass. So yep, the charge continues. And is the last thing to happen. So all 5 of these are going to fight the Giselles. Salza will challenge, which they will have to accept. Salza goes first. 4 hit. Only 2 wounds. But they do actually have a pretty good... Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to roll 4 then. I apologise. They do actually have a pretty good save here. They do only save 1. Because you see, these... the big shield that they have on the front is, I think it's pronounced Pavis. Pavis. But yeah, 1 wound is enough. They only have 1 wound each. Because like the weapon teams, you know, you need both Skaven in order to run the Giselle team. So if either of them die... And unusually among Skaven, the Giselles have the same initiative, but they do get 2 attacks each. So I'll do the Giselles first. 3 hit, 2 wound, that's a cocked dice, but I'll go by what it says. And they fail both armor saves. They do still get to fight, but that is interesting. 5 halberdier attacks back. 3 hit, +1 strength from their halberd, so 3 wounds. No save, so that is all of the Giselles dead. Overall, I kinda liked the Giselles. I've never used them before because I thought, what use could they possibly have? But in a situation like this where they can just consistently shoot, I think they did rather well. Salza's unit then occupies the building, and we go into the final turn of the game. First off, Night Runners are charging the building with a Horst in, and the Hellbit Abomination has seen the Huntsmen that keep peppering it with arrows. And it moves 6 inches, which I don't think is actually enough. It is not. So it only moves to there. Screech is just going to turn on the spot. Magic. 3. Channeling 1 for Skaven. Yes. Channeling 1 for Wissenland. No. Warp Condenser. No. I kind of think he's going to Warp Lightning Salza's unit. Like, part of me thinks it's a shame I haven't used Crack's Call much. But because it's only a 5, like a 5+ to destroy a building with Crack's Call, like you'd need to line up a decent row of them, because that counts as 1 building. It's like, it's such a low chance. It's just a sniper shot against the building. Whereas Warp Lightning here, and to be honest, Warp Lightning against just ordinary buildings would probably be more effective than Crack's Call, because like 10 chances at a 6 is better than 1 chance at a 5, you know? But yeah, I will try to Warp Lightning Salza's unit. It is a magic missile, so it will not damage the building in the same way as the fireball here. I don't think would. I mean, fire probably should, but yeah, Warp Lightning, I'm going to say it doesn't. So he needs 12, he's going to upcast it. 4 dice, total of 14 with his level. He needs a double 6 in order to stop this, which he doesn't get. So the spell is cast, and it's 2d6 plus 4 hits, 6 plus 4, 10 hits against Salza's unit, which is only the 3 of them now, so I'm going to have to do that thing as I did in a previous game, I believe, where I allocate them one at a time. So there's the standard, the champion, and Salza, starting with the standard. He's dead. His armor isn't good enough. The champion is fine. This is the remaining shots. Salza, oh no, that's not on a 2+. Sorry, that should be on a 3+, which is still a wound. And because he only wears light armor, that is actually a wound on him, leaving him with just 1. Back to the champion, still miraculously okay. Salza, okay. Champion is finally dead, leaving the last 3 against Salza. And that's 3 wounds. He gets no armor. Salza is just fried. Salza and his unit are just fried inside this building by warp lightning, powered up by Screech's warp energy condenser. Absolutely no shooting to do, so we go into the final thing of the game, the combat between the Night Runners and Horse unit of Spearmen. They only get 5 each, so the Night Runners, their champion died, so it's just 5 Night Runners against their champion is also dead, so just 5 Night Runners against 5 Spearmen. Night Runners carry 2 weapons each, so they have 2 attacks each, 4 hit, 3 wound, 1 save, so that is 2 Spearmen dead. And due to the way it works, they sort of fill the ranks anyway, so 5 Spearmen fight back. 4 hit, 2 wound, and they have no armor, so that is 2 Night Runners dead. Meaning it is a draw because you do not count ranks when assaulting a building. So the final combat is a draw. And that is the end of the game. Because of the special victory conditions, Wissenland is occupying 1 building, the Skaven are occupying 1 and have destroyed 1. Meaning the Skaven technically win. It would have been a draw if Screech hadn't annihilated Salza's unit, but yeah. Of Clan Deathtoll's 167, only 33 are still on the board, and of Wissenland's 137, only 25 are left. Wissenland, through dead or fled, counting half-destroyed units as worth half points, which by the way includes single models reduced to half wounds, scored 1,490.5 points. And they get nothing else. They got no standards, they didn't take out the general, because the only standard that they actually caused to flee was not through combat, so they don't claim it, giving them a total of 1,490.5. Clan Deathtoll, through dead or fled, scored 1,682. Add to that 100 for the general and 100 for the battle standard bearer, and that gives them a total of 1,882. That is a difference of 391.5, which would normally be a narrow victory, but due to them winning the scenario conditions, that is bumped up to a solid victory, giving Wissenland their second loss of the round and of the campaign. I don't know how balanced the scenario was overall. It didn't really come into play until the last couple of turns. Maybe if they couldn't have occupied, maybe if they had to destroy, that probably would have balanced it more, because then they're trying to destroy, they're trying to defend, you know, it becomes more dynamic rather than just a mad rush to sit in buildings at the very end. I don't know. Let me know what you think in the comments. I'm happy to do more experimental scenarios like this. And let me know what you think of this city board. Did you find it too hard to see the models, etc.? Please do let me know in the comments. As always, if you have any tips for how I could play these armies better, please put them in the comments as well. And up next is the final battle of round 4, the Empire versus Sylvania. So be sure to subscribe for that, and subscribe for more board games, card games, miniatures like this, and TTRPGs, and I will catch you later.